Here we are on another Friday afternoon, another episode of the Urban Law Show. I am in the saddle once again with my main man. What's up, Charles? What's happening, brother?
What's going on, Leslie?
Oh man, it's good. It's
Happy
good.
Friday.
Look, the name of the show, and everybody has been pinging me a public announcement. I mean, public. What do we call it? They public service announcement. What is that about? So, Charles, I'm going to refer that to you. What are we talking about today, man? What's the public service announcement?
In a traditional sense, a public service announcement is just information we want to get out to the public. Comes from a Jay-Z song for me. But, with it being Memorial Day, we wanted to take the time to acknowledge our healthcare workers as frontline workers. And we found this image, wanted to share that. This is the new America. They are propping up the flag. And also, little throwback, our intern provided for us, Snoopy and his compadre, all dressed for the occasion. And just kind of want to give a public service announcement around Memorial Day weekend, which kicks off officially as soon as we end this show. But what that means in the age of Corona, because let's face it, it's brand new, a holiday in the pandemic, and states are opening up. And so our public service announcement to our viewers and to the listening public is proceed with caution, because with states opening up under different regulations, basically 50 governors with 50 different sets of rules and one set of advisory rules from the CDC, Center for Disease Control. I came across this, basically scientists put together the COVIDexitstrategy.org. I would advise everybody to go and take a look at this and see if your state is ready for opening. As you can see, based off of just the infographic or the picture of the United States itself, it looks like green means go, yellow means caution, and red means stop. According to his math and education, one state is ready to go. You can dig a little bit deeper into the numbers as to the why behind that, but I can tell you just based off of my limited view of the numbers for Mississippi, today was a very high day. Even though Mississippi is in the yellow, we went from 200 plus cases yesterday to 402 today. And that puts us at 12,000 plus overall. And unfortunately, almost 600 citizens deceased. That says it's decreasing, but in my gut, and as it relates to my family, it's increasing, and we're going to proceed with caution and treat this as a slow weekend.
So what does that mean when you say slow weekend? Because historically, if we just look, particularly in the African American community, Memorial Day weekend is a big weekend. Is we barbecue, we love the fellowship. How does that need to look differently this year if we're taking it slow in terms of Memorial Day weekend this year as we kind of adjust the tone and flavor of our festivities?
I like the word you use, Leslie. I like tone. I like tone and flavor. So we're gonna watch our tone and we're gonna adjust our flavor. And we're gonna do that by having barbecue that I cook in the kitchen. And we're gonna sup amongst ourselves instead of opening it up for the big bash. There's not going to be a bash. There's simply not going to be, because flattening the curve that used to be a buzzword, but I think it's something of the past. Now they're telling us we're open for business and they're not saying don't worry about it, but the actions, I'm all about action. If you're opening it up without a real plan to account for this virus, then you are on a fool's errand. And so we are going to proceed with extreme caution. For our viewers, they're probably wondering, man, he's got an afro at this point. That's because I'm proceeding with caution. Even though some of these places have been opened up, I'm the master of my own ship, captain of my own fate. and I will make the decision on haircuts for me and mine at a later date once I feel safe and look at the numbers a little bit further. So we may all have afros at the end of this.
Well, now I wasn't so far on the Afro kick, so I did venture out a little bit, but very, very safely, I may presume. And I did not go to a barbershop. So for those of you who might be wondering, you notice that my hair is not as bushy as it has been. Yes, before you ping me, I did get it cut. I did not go to the barbershop.
Well,
I'm very
you had the advantage of a mobile barber. I think you and I talked about that. You know, that would be the only way that I would even consider letting somebody touch my head, because they got to be inside of my personal bubble of 6 feet. And I'm really looking at about 12 feet. You know, when I go in the store, I'm like Speedy Gonzalez, you know.
Well, I think you got to remember this. Not only it's the first haircut I've ever got cut where I had a mask on the whole time. They had a mask and gloves, and literally it looked like he was in a hazmat suit.
Well, that's good. That's good.
So it's a different experience, and let me tell you, if you normally been sitting in the barber chair for 30 minutes or 45 minutes, you're gonna get a 5-minute haircut. Which I love. In and out. Right?
Well, if you recall, you were scared to tell me you were going to get a haircut because you knew I was going to cut up about that. But, you know, I think you took extreme precaution. Your barber took extreme precaution with some new protocols. And so you were able to experience that firsthand. And I think the protocol or watchword for Memorial Day weekend should be quiet.
Yes, I do want to cover some things, and we got a blast from the past. Some people I hadn't heard, so I'm gonna pop just some of the comments up, you know, so you can see it, Charles.
Oh boy, what's up, Kitty?
What's up, Ken? And then we got blast from the past. You remember this one for sure.
Raymond.
Raymond has a lot of stories on us in our college days. We're gonna leave him right there, but good dude right there, good brother. Not to mention that brother can cook. Let me just say that. So go ahead just a second. I'm gonna adjust something right quick.
Well, one of the other things that I was looking at is you see a cross section of news articles coming out about the readiness as it relates to opening up the states. Even though all these protocols are in place, I think common sense should prevail in how you apply those. Now we know there are going to be employers that are going to demand that their employees come back to work. So you have to weigh that out from a safety perspective, from a child care perspective, and from the economic perspective that they're putting before you. So safety should always be paramount. And we talked about this a little bit last week. You should be asking questions if they try to put waivers before you. You need to know what they mean before you sign them. And then you got to take care of child care, because this is a new normal for everyone. So you need to be thinking about how you approach that as they open up. I know today, Hinds County, Mississippi Board of Supervisors, which happens to be the largest population in the state, they're bringing all 800 employees back, and they're talking about plexiglass and some other steps that they've taken. Employees will be wearing masks. Public that interact with them will be wearing masks. But 800, that's a large number, you know. I wasn't that great in math, but I remember Baxter White telling us it's not too late. Every 9 weeks, he would always tell us it's not too late. Now, the context for his saying it's not too late is for jokers to get it together and not fail his class. I think it applies really well to this scenario. It's not too late to get it right.
Yeah, you know, I want to kind of bring attention back to Memorial Day weekend, some things you guys can do, some practical tips. So, look, I'm going to call this segment Mama Says, you know, because Mama would say something like this. But here's the reality. No, instead of having the big bags of potato chips, well, first of all, if you have to do a family get together, where people are coming into your presence that don't reside in your house and are not there on a daily basis, then you still need to have social distancing. So there are some things you can do. You can put make sure there's a table, something in between you and that person at all times. Make sure everybody's wearing masks at all times, gloves. And then as far as the food, in terms of chips, don't buy the big bags of chips. Buy individually bagged chips. People can grab an individual bag. Individually cans. That means for some of you that like to be cheap like me and buy the 2 liters because you can get them for a lot cheaper, you ain't gonna be able to do that. You gotta buy the 24-ounce cans. Yes, it's gonna cost you more, but if you just got to have people over, you're gonna have to cough up the money.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to buy the cans so you have individually wrapped. Desserts, I'm sorry. I know your cake is good, but you can't bake one because can't nobody eat it but you. Get individually wrapped things. So Little Debbie, bring Little Debbie back. It might have to be a Little Debbie Memorial Day weekend. I'm simply saying you still have to be safe. So I give you an example here. One person went to a church service, and that one person, and it wasn't even a big church, very small church, that one person infected 180 people. That one action caused a reaction for 180 people. Now, let's do the math on this because Charles was talking about math. If one person can directly affect 180, those 180 go out. They don't know they're infected right now. Those 180 go out. How many are they going to touch? At least 180. Let's just say they only come in contact with one person, which we all know is not true. But let's just say they only touch 180. So it's 180 people touching 180. You do the math on that. You see how? So we went from 1 to 180. I gotta have a calculator for that one, Charles. I ain't that good. We went from 1 to 180 to 32,400. Just that quick.
Mm-hmm.
One person.
That's right.
So your barbecue could cause that reaction.
That's right.
So you have to be safe.
So I guess before we get to the actual holiday, we probably need to address church as an essential place.
Yes.
Because I see where the president has declared churches should be open, and they've given the order that churches should open up. Now let me just tell you, hey mama, I just got off the phone with my mother, as a matter of fact. Curtis, you nailed it. I am working on my Frederick Douglass look. I've been saying that from day one. I'm gonna come out of this looking like Fred.
I can always leave it to Iris to be in tune with where you're transitioning to.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's dive right into it.
So, church is important. It's extremely important, especially in the South, Liz.
It's the Bible Belt.
Yeah, you get in trouble for not paying attention in church.
Big time.
Yeah. So here's what I would say. These are my words. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a lay preacher. I'm just an old country attorney. And I'm gonna say this because I've heard this many times. Open it up. Church is inside of you. I think the Bible talks about this. I'll let you expound on how that applies, but let's be smart, people. Where two or three are together, that's good enough.
Yeah. Well, and here's what I'll say. Church is not the building.
No, it's not.
Church is not the building. The building is the location. Church is the ministry that's inside of you. So what I have to say for that, how responsible are you being if you're causing bodily harm to somebody else? So I'm not gonna weigh into where that falls in your criteria of ethical conduct, but something to think about. And then I think this is one of those times when we can really look to the big churches, the leaders in that space, and kind of what they're doing. And when you look predominantly, I live in an area, in Dallas area where there are a lot of mega churches, and I'm a member of one. And so looking at their lead, here's what the response has been. We gonna stay where we are. We don't feel comfortable yet. And so I think that speaks volumes, because here's the thing. they can mobilize, they have the ability to have online services and go, but they know if one person can hit 180, and then we talk about mega churches where they can have as many upwards of 10 to 15, 20,000 people a day on Sunday. What does that number look like? That 32,000 don't look like 32,000. What does it look like at that point? And so it just takes one person to spread it, guys. So I think we have to be cautious. We have to be calculated. That's the word I'm looking for. We have to be calculated in our decision making. This is not something we can just go out and say, my bad. I'm sorry.
No, because the ramifications are far reaching. And so as it relates to Sunday service, continue doing what you've been doing.
Yeah. And as one of my Bible study members told me, he said, here's the question. And he posed this question exactly. He said, do you read more verses? Do you read more of the Bible when you go to church every Sunday? Or have you read more of the Bible since you've been home with coronavirus? And in my case, when I looked at the survey, I've read a lot more going through this coronavirus epidemic, this pandemic. So I think for me, I echo the same things you say. As for me and my house, we're going to stay put. I can't speak for you, but as far as me and my house, we're going to stay put.
Well, that's why we call it a public service announcement. Now, we certainly can't dictate what people do with their own lives. But right now, I think a lot of this stuff is premature. And so all we're saying is to the public, as by way of a service through our show, is be extremely cautious because this is not over. Just because they're saying it's over, I think Richard Pryor said, who you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? You know what I'm saying? You see the numbers. I just gave you concrete numbers. It went from 200 plus to 402 today. And it's possibly going to keep going up for a little while. And you couple that with the fact that there is no vaccine. That's a recipe for disaster. So let's not participate in creating that disaster or making it worse. Because we know, as we established on the show last week, our leadership has to come from within right now.
No doubt. So, open it up to you guys. What do you think about the churches reopening? What are your thoughts? I'm going to put a couple comments in, Charles. Let's see. CC. Hello, CC. How you doing? Governor opens churches but says his family still worship from home as well as working from home.
Yeah, see, that reminds me of a pastor in Chicago who put up a clip that said his church is going to stay closed until the Holy Spirit leads him to open it up. And that's probably going to be when they open their churches up. But
that's what he said, actually. He said his comments was when the White House opens for public tours again.
Yeah.
When the governor's mansion opens for public tours again,
that's
then
right.
We'll reopen the church. Until then, we'll stay at home.
Yeah. Don't call and ask if it's open. It's not. I think that's very smart.
Yeah, I do. What are your thoughts, though, family? What are your thoughts in terms of church, going back to church? What are your thoughts in terms of this weekend, Memorial Day? What are your festivities? How are you going to enjoy Memorial Day weekend a little bit differently? All right, let's see. We got a comment here. What does Mom have to say? Well, yeah, that's the Grim Reaper at his best right there. You do not want to have your doctor saying, "I wish I could do something for you." That is a heart. That's tough right there, Mom. You didn't take it easy. You came right out the box on that. She hitting with uppercuts and all that.
Mom is in tune with what's happening in the news. I kind of took a break. I took a break from the news. I kind of monitor it, but it seemed like to me it was turning into politics over safety and a disregard for science. And I had a problem with that. So I'm monitoring it so that I can see what's going on. But at the same time, I'm not as fully immersed as I usually am for work and for personal. So
Yeah. Well, I think, the other thing we have to remember too is, I think about our kids. I want to bring up the kids during this time and some things you can do, some things I've done that have worked and helped. Look, our kids, and I take for mine, and for all of you that have onlys. So I have only one child, I'm an only kid family. For you to have onlys, that means the only contact they have right now is you and adults. So to create that space for them to be able to have some fun, I mean, get in the garage, that's what we've been doing. Invite a friend over, keep social distancing. We're putting objects in between them and we're out there monitoring it. Everybody's masked, everybody's protected. And we don't do 6 feet, we do 12. And so they can still, and give them you had a structure though. So it means it's some work on your report. So shout out to my wife, because everybody knows me, know I hadn't been the one that's organizing all this. So I'm not going to dare take credit. It has been Marsha Peters, which is just amazing. But she'll have an art craft, or have them doing crafts. They're working on a project, so they have that interaction with their peers, and that's very important, because you got to remember, we're adults processing this. They're kids trying to process an adult level matter. So we can't lose sight of that, and we can't lose sight of their mental health. So let's make sure that we're doing those things as well, and we don't forget about them in this process.
I think that's absolutely correct. I mean, you know, yesterday I asked you to take a look at the award ceremony. So you got a chance to actually experience award ceremony for Obama Magnet School here in Jackson, Mississippi. So there are ways to experience and share and see what's happening with the kids. I'm extremely pleased with what Charles did for the entire school year. And he racked up. He got a lot of awards in Awards Day yesterday. But you were able to see that from way across the country.
Yeah.
I think.
So here's the beauty of that, right? So now I'm able to participate in something in the past when we thought we were living in our greatest time that I wouldn't have been able to participate in. So there is, look, we as a culture have been making lemons lemonade for all of our lives. So why do we stop now? No, let's continue doing it, because there are great opportunities here. And I think we will never go back to a world as it used to be. We've seen too much. We've seen the other side. So it's going to be a blended hybrid. So we're going to be seeing the virtual element of reaching people, connecting people, finding different ways to connect. So be creative and continue to thrive there. So I was excited to do that, man. I was clapping and enjoying that, and enjoying watching his facial expression. So very proud of him. So proud of him. In fact, all of our kids have done extremely well in the midst of this.
Yeah, and he's already spent your V-Bucks.
I figured he did.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and he interacts well. We allow him to play on his PlayStation, which he's earned through good behavior and grades and what have you. But he's interacting with his same classmates, playing games and having that social interaction, which is good. And I think, that's been a boom. Jackson Carter has been putting on virtual cooking shows through his Kidopia app. He's a master baker.
I'm still waiting on my hot dog though. That hot dog for breakfast, that was interesting.
Yeah, well, he's graduated from hot dogs now. He's making pizza. He made, I think he made his granddad a green pizza the other day. I'm not sure. Wow. Not sure what was on it, but via FaceTime, he was making pizza. So,
we got some interesting comments about the reaction to the church. I put a question out. What do you think about churches reopening? So I'll just throw some of these up here. Iris, you're killing me. She said, Jesus is on the main line. I keep telling him what I want. Online church it is.
That's right. You have a main line. Use it.
Jimmy, our homeboy, says, I'll let you take Jimmy's.
That's not our homeboy. That's Jimmy Louise Sargent.
Oh, that's Jimmy. I just realized who that was. I thought that was
Louisiana United Methodist Church. That's my family.
Yes, that is.
Yeah. Hey, cousin, we love you. The church is just a building on a piece of real estate. We are the church. Amen. I think we have reached out more to people in our community since the doors have been closed than ever before. Sad to say, but true. And I think that's the reality. This has made people become more creative in how they share the word, how they share in the business world, how you socially interact, some of the smallest things, how you exercise. You know, all of those things have been challenged. And I think Jimmy is right on point when she says people are being reached more now because people are hungry for that human interaction.
Absolutely.
So that causes people who would ordinarily not use technology to begin to dabble in technology. Case in point, my mom is on Facebook.
Yeah, that's a new beginning right there.
Yeah.
Althea says, when we learn that a building is not the church, but that the church is in us, the better off we will be. I will not be attending a church service anywhere and will be in the house until they find a cure or vaccine. My family will cancel all celebrations until the time when it can be done safely.
All the way from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Greetings. And I think you are spot on. I mean, if we're being honest, the church is being used as a pawn in this because it's political season. And so lots of shenanigans go on. So if they invoke the name church, then for the mass public, you know, you have some people that are followers. But what we're saying is exercise good common sense, because as Shaw said, as Jimmy said, the church is in you.
Yeah. And that's the message. So that's the public service announcement today. Guys, be safe. This is not over. We're still on the battlefield.
No, it's not over. I mean, and in fact, I think I sent you some literature article from one of the leading scientists who said we're playing with fire. And he cited Dallas, Alabama, which was, basically citing Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, where restaurants are open. I went to grab a salad for lunch, trying to get my workout swimsuit edition back together. And I saw people sitting out on the patio eating, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, man. Listen, if I take Dallas County, right where I am, we've only tested 1% of the population.
Yeah.
So how in the world, first of all, how can we flatten the curve and we don't even know what the curve is? That's the first misnomer, right? We're gonna flatten the curve, but we don't know what the curve is. Right. That means we can't ever flatten the curve.
That's right.
Just mathematically, we can't flatten the curve because we haven't defined what the curve is. So there's no equation for that, because you still got to define what the curve is. Then we're reopening. So last week we were at 25% occupancy for restaurants that they can have inside. And now we're going to 50%. Look, I got to tell you, I mean, this is a true story. So my wife, my whole family, we really wanted something. We didn't want to cook, and we just wanted a break. We wanted to change. So we went out to get something. We wanted some wings. I'm not going to say the restaurant's name, but we went to the restaurant. We had ordered, we had paid for it. When we got to the restaurant, now my wife she is strict and regimented germaphobe, so she is on top of her regimen of what we have to do. I'm the one that's usually like, well, I'm a little looser. I looked inside the restaurant. I saw that line. I saw the chaos of people standing. Some people got on masks. Some people don't. I was like, they can have that money. We're not getting that. And we left it right there. Now, anybody that knows me knows that I don't ever leave money on the table.
That's right.
I'm super duper cheap. So me, like, no, that's not me. But I was happy to do that, because I'm like, there is no way in the world I'm about to go up in there and expose myself to that. Yeah,
I mean, over the course of this, they tell you how serious it is. But watch what happens. They are slowly removing the science from the conversation.
Yeah, Bree was telling us about what she saw yesterday.
Yeah. Hey, Bree. Same thing going on in Jason's Deli. People were sitting down eating inside the restaurant. You don't say. I mean, it's amazing to me that we have free will, we have eyeballs, we have ears to hear with, we have noses to smell with, and here we have a virus that you can't see, smell, or it's silent. But yeah, you're willing to take a chance because somebody tells you, "Oh, we're open." You know.
Yeah, I mean, true. And mom says, I think of our military and first responders, all vets who have served for this freedom. Give thanks. So, yeah, I mean, we certainly want to remember what the cause of this holiday is that we're celebrating this weekend. We definitely want to give thanks and applaud that. And I think there's no better way we can do that than being safe.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, this country is founded upon those people giving their life and limbs so that we can enjoy these freedoms. All we're saying is enjoy them responsibly.
So I got a question for you, and then I'm going to pull up Iris' comment here in a second. So what do you think about a lot of facilities, restaurants, places that are opening up are taking temperature checks? And I bring this up because Iris' comment that the Comedy Club in Atlanta is opening 50% occupancy. They will be taking temps for all entrants. They would need to have masks, gloves, and social distancing. What are your thoughts on just some of the parameters different organizations are putting in place to kind of reopen or re-enter?
You asking me that?
Yeah, because I know you're going to give it to me straight with no chases.
So. All right. So let me just explain to you, because I have been living through this the entire time with work, and I have been voicing my complaints or having to put myself at risk going into these courthouses, and using temperature as one of the protocol is good. But my question becomes, after having seen that process in action, just because you use the alcohol swab to wipe off the temperature gauge does not mean you're not transferring what's on somebody else's face to somebody else's face, especially if you're not diligent.
Wait a minute, hold up. Wait a minute. Let me stop here. So you mean to tell me they're not using a gun to just shoot you where they don't have to touch you?
It just depends on which gun they have, Liz. Some of them, they actually have to touch you with it. So, when you talk about protocols, one size is not necessarily fit all. So you have to be mindful of that type of thing. And I mean, let's be honest. Just because you take someone's temperature, that doesn't necessarily speak to all these different variations of symptoms that people are having and what they're displaying. Somebody may have, as Bree is saying right now, temperature is not fully sufficient. Somebody might have a regular temperature and still be walking around with COVID-19.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. That's true, because if you're asymptomatic, you don't have a fever.
That's right. You may not be coughing, you may not be sweating, you may not have a temperature, you might not even be aching, but you're spreading it.
Hey, I got one even better for you. You may be coughing, you may have a fever, and you may not have COVID at all.
Oh yeah, because there's a lot of pollen out right now. So, right. It's too much. I'm not down with that. If I want to laugh, I can make myself laugh. I'm not going to no comedy club. Are you serious? That's a joke in and of itself.
I think I'm just gonna put it up on Netflix and enjoy it right there.
Oh, and speaking of Netflix, I just saw they just published something saying that they are canceling all inactive accounts. I cannot believe there are inactive Netflix accounts right now. But if that's the case, you may want to use it at least one time before you lose it. They're getting ready to cancel all inactive users. So.
Well, yeah, because they got so much demand now, they got to make room for the people that want to use it.
That's right.
In another word, in another translation, I'm going to get rid of all you people that are not paying, and I'm going to get some folks that are just in business speak. Look, guys, I think as we head out on this Friday, as we're getting ready to wrap up our show for today, we've made a lot of fun moments and we laughed about it a lot, but we could not be more serious. Take calculated risks, think through it. And really for me, um, it's easy. It's an easy decision. It's an easy decision. So there are a lot of ways you can still have people over. There's ways you can do it with social distancing. You got to be very picky about who you invite over. And look, I had someone that was a little bit bothered by a stance we took. They were a little bit bothered because we said, "Hey, yeah, you come over, but you got to be in the garage, and we'll do social distance. We'll put out some chairs." And they didn't want to come over because they were put off by that. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I'm okay with that because I can't say my bad.
Brother,
Fix this.
brother.
I know what you thinking because you are not gonna be as nice about it as I am. But
No, sir. No, sir. Am I my brother's keeper? You they can keep that foolishness. Stay at your house. You don't want to come over here and social distance? Don't come. It's that simple.
Wait a minute. Oh, I see my lovely wife is watching this today. She just said I didn't miss them at all.
MKP. Okay, so since we have Pack Light and Go in the house, I just saw something from your sector that said cruises are coming back. Are you serious?
Yes, Marsha, tell us, since you're the travel agent extraordinaire, what are your thoughts on cruise industry stating that they're going to restart here? What day was it? Was it January? It was August. I think they were going to restart. So I'd love to hear your comments on that. Just from a person that books cruises, from a person that helps people with travelers. I just love to know your thoughts and what advice you're giving your clients during this time.
Right. While she's thinking about that, Liz, I would like to give a shout out to Vanderbilt University.
She responded.
Well, there you have it from the travel expert herself. Pack Light and Go says not for me. So I think that's as simple as it gets, and I agree. As much as I like to cruise, you won't catch me out there on that water.
Look, guys, and I think what you're gonna find, at least, I was reading an article and my wife was telling me about it as well, and then I went to kind of research and look, but RV rentals are like the rates are going up astronomically because people are just going to be doing stuff inside the U.S. Because I wouldn't want to go out of the country right now because number one, nobody really wants you there because I'm trying to keep stuff contained. So I don't know. I might be seeing you virtually like this for a while, brother.
Yeah. Oh, Liz, can you put this up for me?
Yep. Send it over to me.
Let me send it over to you. Because I want.
We still have crew members that are stuck on ships.
That's right. They're still out there right now, and they talking about reopening. They ain't got all the people home that need to be home.
Yep. And she says she is promoting. She's promoting road trips.
Oh yes, ma'am. You missed my show when Leslie had a little technical difficulty, and I promoted the idea of doing a road trip to check out old record stores once this thing gets a little bit better. Things of that nature, things that I can control how I move. I think that's the way to go. I can pack a ham sandwich and roll.
You gonna pack a ham sandwich?
Yeah, I'll pack a ham sandwich. Wheat, mayo, ham. That didn't work.
Hold on. Let me get.
If you can find one that doesn't, I'm sorry about that, you all. I pulled that. That's not Leslie's fault. That's my fault.
There you go.
Hey, there she is. There she is. Just in case you have been living in a vacuum and have not heard, Vanderbilt University is the first PWI sports school to have in the Southeastern Conference to have a Black female head their athletic department.
That's major. That's major.
That is major.
Is
That
she the
young
first?
lady,
Is she the first in history in
first in his,
NCAA?
no, she's not the first in the NCAA, but she is the first in SEC, which is the biggest, baddest,
Premier conference. Yes.
Power 5 conference. Candace Story Lee. Remember her name. That is huge news. Very proud to share that with you all. I don't have any affiliation to her. I'm just giving the sister her props. She put in the time. Vanderbilt has recognized her good works and moved her to the head of their athletic department. So kudos to them.
That's major. That's major for a lot of ways. First of all, I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime. So at a Power 5, that means you're over. Get this. She's hiring the coaches. She's making all the executive decisions. That all goes through her. And let's face it, it's a male-dominated role, male-dominated industry.
No doubt about it.
So I am not. Look, I'm not naive enough to think that she didn't go through a whole lot to get there. So congrats to you for all that you've been through to get to this point, and I wish you nothing but success moving forward.
That's right. And I probably should have done this in a very different order, but I would be remiss if I didn't put this last one over to you, Leslie, because I started on my soapbox last week about what we need to do with voting and taking precautions. And lo and behold, the state of Michigan may have been listening to me. They already had it in the works, of course, but they approved mail-in voting. And the politics of grievance, as I told you it would, has entered the conversation because our current occupant of the White House is threatening to withhold funds from the state of Michigan for allowing their citizens some relief on voting. So here he is taking a tour of in Michigan of the Ford plant, but the purpose of the tour is just so he can gripe about mail-in ballots. The irony of this situation is he is a vote by mail participant. So do not be fooled by the mega wattage that you hear coming from the microphone. Let's get ourselves together. Let's organize. Let's do what we need to do to be able to vote. Now you can take that down because I don't want to look at that too much. I just want to make sure that people are aware, based off of our conversation last week, that this thing is rolling, as I told you it would be and should be, from our communities. Because if you don't vote in this election, where you have almost people are dying in every state because failure of leadership to respond to a quiet pandemic that is extremely loud to those families who lost loved ones. If that's not enough to motivate you to vote, then I don't know what is. So make sure you understand what the rules are, and let's get it done. And I found this, Leslie, this is a shout out to all of our frontline medical professionals who putting it on the line every day, sacrificing from their families to make sure COVID patients are cared for. They are propping up the flag right now. And in the last few minutes, you know what? Let's do a feel-good story.
All right, I will put this one up just so you can see it, so we can acknowledge one of our good clients here. That was Brian's comment on your last post.
Well, there it is, Brian. How you doing, Brian? Happy Memorial Day weekend. Not welcome. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. So, Liz, I want you to put this one up because this one is near and dear to us because, you know, early on, people were saying that this was a hoax and that COVID was not real. It was a political construct. The young man that I just sent you is from our hometown, Isaiah Whalum. Isaiah is our age, actually he's 2 years younger than us. Graduate of East Marion High School. So shout out to any Eagles on the line, even though Wildcat Country is in full effect. But Isaiah spent 53 days in the hospital with one of the worst COVID cases in the state of Tennessee. and he was released from the hospital just recently. That meant he was away from his family. They couldn't come in because of protocols and safety concerns. But that's our homeboy coming out right there. He made it back amongst the living, and you know, God is good. I mean, he fought. There was another article in the USA Today where one of his doctors said he made it off of sheer will and determination because he was so stubbornly trying to get back to his family. And so I think I just wanted to put that up as we, you know, talk about safe ways to celebrate this Memorial Day. Here is a reminder of what it looks like to a family in the United States, somebody that we happen to know who fought for 53 days to get back to his family, recovering from coronavirus.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Just so we've been praying for the family, just so happy to see that positive story and see him to come out of the front door.
That's right.
The hospital and be able to talk and walk. And I mean, it's, you know, look, guys, his words, and they interviewed him right after. His words was, "This is for real.
That's
Do
right.
what they're asking you to do. Take this seriously." You know, and it couldn't have been said any clearer than that to me. I mean, just take this seriously. We do have a couple comments I want to put up, reference and related to this. Brian has this from Charles. Maybe you can address that.
Do you think schools K through 12 will be able to make mandate their students wear a mask? Well, we're about to find out, Brian. Somebody somewhere is going to challenge this in court, and it's going to come down to a public policy argument versus individual citizens' rights. And so we'll see how that plays out, but watch the space because we'll comment on it. Is public sentiment for the individual family and what they want more? Does that override public health, public policy concerns of a school district?
Here's another factor we probably hadn't thought about. Leave it to Marsha to always put it in a different spin, but she said, how do we think we're going to make kids keep them on? I don't even enjoy keeping mine on, but we know as adults we have to. But when you start talking about second grade or third grade or fourth, that's another challenge. The schools are going to have to, even if they do vote now, somebody's got to be responsible for mandate they keep it on, right? So I don't know. There are no easy answers here.
No, we're about to find out a lot about the resolve of these teachers. We already, Lord knows, we put enough on them, but they're about to have to police some young ones to keep a mask on and not touch each other and not touch everything in the classroom.
Yeah, there she is. I was wondering where she was today.
One of our frontline experts, Willie Mae. Good evening. Seeing the patients recover and go home to their family is the best part of being a frontliner. Amen to that. Thank you for the hard work that you put in and taking care of our citizens here in the state of Mississippi. Hey, one of my former students from Mississippi Valley State, Mike TV, up in the Delta, reporting real time, real stories on the ground. I know she's probably got some experiences. Matter of fact, we might have to have Angela on one night.
I think we're gonna have to. We definitely have to have Angela on.
Yeah. So Leslie, to sum it up, well, we never did even talk about what we've been doing at the office this week. It's been federal week around the office. We've had some mediation. We've had a lot of filings. We're still open and we're still going hard. I think you told me right before we went on the air, man, what happened? We're supposed to be slow. So if you have a need, give us a call, 601-340-6800. Urban Law is here for you. Leslie, enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, sir.
Man, I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna do that with social distancing. We're gonna be safe. I'm not going to any parties. I'm not throwing any. So we're gonna be responsible because at the end of the day, I heard Isaiah when he said take it seriously. I heard him, I felt it. And 53 days of fighting, I hear you. I hear you. So I'm gonna definitely do my part. I think also to all of us, make sure we're reaching out, make the phone calls to our elderly, to our seniors. And then even me, I had to think about my dad, and I had a conversation with my mom this week. And you got to realize that my dad is the type of guy that he is very much out and about talking. He's a people person. And so when you have something like this happen where now you're forced, that's your personality, you're forced to be confined to being at home, it's almost feels like prison to some extent, right? In a literal sense of just being locked or confined to a space or a location, not in terms of the literal other side. Because I know somebody will say, what is he talking about? No, but literally just in terms of that sense. We got to make sure we reach out to those people and talk to them and give them something to engage and have conversations more than we normally would. And so I thought that was a good point as well, because if you have people around you that are very outgoing, then definitely call them more than you normally call them because they don't have the same outlets that they would typically have.
That's right. That's right. And I'll say this because we've been talking about exercise internally. The gyms are about to open too. Be careful with that, people. Yeah, be careful with that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure at least she's talking about the options for schools with immune, with just touching. So you got social distancing is very hard when you have that many people in a confined space, especially classrooms. So they got to do something to accommodate classroom size. And AM/PM splits may be it. There are other types of splits that are being discussed. The use of virtual is still in play. I know the Institutional for Higher Learning is right now. They voted to bring all the universities back for the upcoming fall semester. So everybody stay tuned and be vigilant in knowing what is required of you and what options you have.
Charles, one last one, because if I don't get this one up, I know this is it's kind of real passion. I want you to address this one. So let me get this last one of the day, and then we'll be back next week with we got some other good news coming next week, don't we?
I think maybe.
Okay. Okay. So I'll let you take this one. This one is for you.
Joe Biden's interview on the Breakfast Club show this morning. He said that if you don't vote for him, you're not African American. So now African Americans are saying they will not vote because they can't vote for Biden. Can you address that? Uncle Joe has been saying crazy stuff since 2007. He's been in politics for much longer than that, but we all got to know him as President Obama's wingman. And one of the things that the Obama people did was do a great job of making sure that Joe had proper content. Joe gets excited from time to time. Now is not the time to worry about whether or not Joe Biden can classify you as an African American. You wake up in the morning, every morning, look in the mirror, brush your teeth, and you see black. You are black. You feel black. You feel it in your wallet. You feel it. You feel it in the taxes you pay institutionally. So just remember, you are somebody. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. And get out and vote.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Look, as we get to this point and we're wrapping up the show, I want to thank all of you for joining us every week with the great comments, the great feedback. And the thing is, we have to dialogue and we have to have these conversations. Charles, you want to close us out and send us off to a great weekend?
Well, just remember that it's a holiday and you can celebrate it in just about any way you choose. Our public service announcement to you is be responsible, because even though they are telling us that this thing is pretty much over and everything is back to normal, just from trying to get your groceries in from the store, if you have to wear a mask and all you see is eyes and ears, This is not normal.
Right.
So govern yourselves accordingly. If that means that you have to have some type of gathering, slim it down. Slim it down. Be responsible in how you prepare your food, who you allow in, what type of Lysol spraying station you have by the front door, or choose to celebrate it in a quiet way with just the people who live in your house.
Or do the garage social distancing.
Yeah, there are ways to use technology. There are ways to do all sorts of things that we have discovered. Use them. But don't put yourself and others around you at risk because you want to have a blowout gathering. And then you find out that one person leaves there infected with coronavirus.
Ooh, that's not good.
Not good at all. So that's all I have for you, Liz. Let's be safe.
Well, be safe, enjoy it. And I'm gonna send you out in a smooth, easy kind of way. Until next time, I'll see you.